If you would like to access this presentation and or the participant guide that goes along with it, you can do so with QR codes and the bit.lys that are listed on this slide. I am one of the high school coordinators for the Reading Language Arts departments, and I oversee English 2 and English 4. Rich Miller, the other high school coordinator in our department, oversees English 1 and English 3. Here's our agenda for this session. We're going to do a curriculum overview, look at curriculum and assessments, and also tiered resources. Our learning objective is to internalize the Q3 high school curriculum. And to do this, we're going to identify and access curriculum resources. We're going to compare the alignment between Q3 curriculum and assessments, and also identify tiered resources to meet the varied needs of our students. So starting with accessing the curriculum resources, we are going to go to Curriculum Central. Now, if you have your presentation open, if you click on this image, it will take you directly to Curriculum Central. Curriculum Central is where you will find all things curriculum. This is where you will find the weekly instructional planning calendars or the focus instructional planning calendars for the instructional weeks for all of the high school reading language arts grades. Here's an overview of how our curriculum documents are organized. So we start with the year at a glance, which gives an overview of what the students will be covering for the entire year for each course. Then we get a little bit more specific with the weekly focused instructional planning calendars. Then we move into the structured lessons, in which everything is laid out for what the students will be doing from start to finish for those particular courses. Also, we have formative assessments daily by way of exit tickets. And then we also have the common assessment that is given to our English 1 and 2 students, and also the ACP, which all students take for in English 1 through 4. Here is one of the most important documents that you will need in planning instruction for your courses. And this is our weekly instructional planning calendar. Here you will find everything that you need for instruction for the instructional week. So we call it the instructional week because the time frame, because of the block scheduling, may not be an exact week. It may carry over into the following week. So these documents include dates, the focused and bundled TEKS, learning objectives, success criteria, and links to structured lessons for those instructional days, which you can see here. Also, what is linked are embedded supports for TSIA and SAT. And also, anytime students have a reading or writing SER, that is also linked for that day as well. So HMH has 6 thematic units of study. Within the 9-week grading period, 2 units will overlap, as you can see. For Q3, English 1 will do Sweet Sorrow and A Matter of Life and Death. English 2 will do Hard-Won Liberty and Responses to Change. So these thematic units include an instruction video and activities that go along with that video, and an essential question that is introduced at the beginning of the unit that is on a response log that students will complete after they read each selection. Also included are novel and long read connections, speaking and listening tasks, media projects. So students are reading and writing, and everything is thematically linked to that essential question and the unit topic. English 3 and 4, it's basically the same thing with some differences. Because English 3 and 4 cover British and American Lit, these units are based on time periods. Because of this, they're are more than one essential question. There are 3 or 4 of them. The students will also complete a unit writing task that is included within HMH at the end of each unit. So within the structured lessons, you have all of these things that are featured here on this slide. But what I want to pay close attention to is evidence-based writing. So all 4 grades will be required to do evidence-based writing. It will just look a little different for English 1 and English 2 than it will look in English 3 and in English 4. So for English 1 and 2, the students are going to be doing reading short constructed responses and extended constructed responses that have been added by our department. And in English 3 and English 4, the students are going to be doing the unit writing task and a lot of the open-ended response questions that are included within HMH. These images are linked to the slide of the structured lesson deck in which they appear. And these are examples of a short constructed response for reading for English 2 and an extended constructed response for English 1. So again, these were created by our department to help our students receive instruction that's better aligned to how they will be assessed on the STAR. So please feel free to pause the video to click on the links to take a closer look. Evidence-based writing for English 3 and 4, again, looks a little different in that the unit writing task is used. And within the unit writing task, the students will be required to use text evidence from various sources of the text that they've read for that particular unit. And the open-ended response may only be about one particular text that they read for that day. And these are both from English 4. And again, they are linked as well. So if you want to pause the video to click on the link here to see what exactly the students will be doing, please feel free to do so. So moving into quarter 3, English 3 and English 4 instruction will look a little differently. So to help students in these courses better prepare for the TSIA and the SAT, the first half of the instructional time per class period will be reserved for work on the Edgenuity platform. The other half will consist of the use of the HMH structured decks. So what the students will be doing on Edgenuity will be building capacity and skill that will help them prepare for the TSIA and the SAT. A scope and sequence for the Edgenuity platform has been created for both courses that include the lesson modules that students will complete and the estimated time it will take them to do so during the instructional week. The scope and sequence for the courses are linked on the images of them on the slide, so please feel free to pause the video to take a closer look. The modules were selected to go along with the content for the instructional week. For example, in English 3, the students are reading speeches the first week of quarter 3. So one of the modules selected for the week covers rhetorical devices and figurative language in speeches. In English 4, the students are starting the romantic period. So the module selected for that instructional week covers romanticism. The students will also receive grammar instruction in Edgenuity as well. On January 8th, our department will host a representative from Edgenuity who will come to do professional development sessions that will cover how to create classes, add students to classes, enroll in courses, and monitor student progress. Also included within the structured decks are engagement strategies that are meant to deepen the understanding of content and to increase student voice in the classroom. Okay, so now we're moving into our second success criteria, in which we are going to compare alignment between what's in the Q3 curriculum and on our assessments. So on this slide are linked the blueprints for the common assessments that the English 1 and 2 students will be taking in Q3, and the ACP that the English 3 and 4 students will be taking at the end of the semester, rather. So please feel free to pause the video to take a look at these documents. So now you have the opportunity to look at alignment between what's in the Q3 curriculum, particularly for the first week of instruction or any week that you'd like to choose, and the assessment. So if you are teaching English 1 and 2, you would want to take a look at the Common Assessment Blueprint. If you are teaching English 3 or 4, you would want to look at the ACP Blueprint for that particular course. So to do this, you will need to go to Curriculum Central to find the instructional week of your course, or for your course, and of your choice, or of your choosing. Then you're going to open the blueprint for your particular course, and then you're going to answer these questions, taking a look at the TEKS covered for that particular week and whether or not they appear on the Common Assessment or ACP Blueprint, the learning objective and the success criteria, what the students are doing, and how the students are assessed at the end of the lesson. So please feel free to pause the video to do this task. Moving into success criteria 3, we are going to identify tiered resources to meet students' needs. So as previously discussed, HMH is a primary resource for Tier 1 instruction for all high school grades. For English 3 and 4, Imagine Learning will also be used for half of that instructional time for Tier 1 instruction. MyPath and Edgenuity can also be used for Tier 2 instruction for all high school grades. And Read 180 is our Tier 3 resource for schools who selected its usage for this particular school year. HMH offers a plethora of resources for teachers and for students. And I want to call your attention to 2 in particular. So Current Events has news articles or overview of current events that include links to articles about those events. So if you want your students to be able to make connections about what they're reading, particularly in English 3 and 4, with what's going on today, that resource can be used for that. And also available are activities that can be searched by TEKS for intervention and review, with the intervention and review and extension here where my cursor is. And as you can see, there's also SAT and ACT College Prep. There is a text library for students to access independent reading or other reading materials that may be linked to or connected to what they're reading in those particular units. There's all sorts of things that are at your fingertips that can be used for instruction and extension and review. So for STAR resources, we have this extensive Padlet that is linked on the slide that has all things STAR, everything that is related to the STAR redesign. And then we also have PLC packages that are about how to approach the extended constructive response. Both of these images are linked directly to the documents. So if you want to take a look, please feel free to do so. And in closing, our department offers office hours on Tuesdays and Thursdays via Zoom. For high school, it's from 4:30 to 5:30. You can register through Cornerstone to receive professional development credit for attending. You do not have to stay the entire hour. You can ask your question that's curriculum oriented or related, get an answer, and be done in 10 minutes or so, and enjoy the rest of your evening and still receive an hour's worth of PD credit. Here is our department as a whole. We have our RLA director, Ann Lauren Mars, and also our manager, Doug Frank here. And then, as stated earlier, we have Rich Miller, the high school coordinator that covers English 1 and 3. And then you have myself, LaShonda Watson, who covers English 2 and 4.